Chapter 12, Egyptian Mysteries. Hail, O blessed goddess Athena Neith! How grand are thy works and marvels! The gods and those who are wise know very well that thou art the divine Clytone from the submerged Atlantis. It is written with fiery characters in the great book of life that thou, O goddess, knew how to intelligently select the best of Vulcan's seed in order to found the august city of Athens. O Neith! Thou established Sais on the Nile's delta. The sunny country of Chem reverently bends itself before thee. Hail! 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 The phrases uttered by the priest of Sais still resound from within the depth of the centuries. Alas, Solon, Solon, ye Greeks are nothing but children. There is not even an elder in Greece. Ye all are young in your souls, since ye do not treasure any truly ancient opinion which cometh forth from an archaic tradition. Ye do not possess, no, indeed, any knowledge whitened through time, and behold, this is why throughout the course of the centuries, the destruction of mankind and of entire countries has occurred in great number. The majority of these destructions has been by fire and by water, and the minority by thousands of other diverse causes. Thus, this is how, among ye, exists that old tradition which states that in ancient times, Phaeton, the son of the sun, when willing himself to drive his father's chariot, burned the earth and then perished by the lightning that struck him. Such a tale is of a fabulous character. However, the truth which such sort of a fable hides under its symbol is that all of the many celestial bodies that move in their orbit suffer perturbations that, in time, determine a periodical destruction of the terrestrial things by a great fire. In such catastrophes, people who live in the mountains, in elevated and in arid places die faster than those who dwell at the shores of the seas and rivers. This is why the Nile, to which in many ways we owe our life, saved us then from such a tremendous disaster. Thus, when the gods submerged the earth in order to purify it, not all the oxherds and shepherds perished over the mountains. At least the inhabitants of your cities were carried little by little out towards the sea by following the stream of the rivers. Nonetheless, in our country, the rains have never fecundated our fields such as they did with others' fields, not then, nor in any epoch, because nature has determined that the water should come to us from our own land through the river. This is the cause why our country can preserve the most ancient traditions, because neither the very extreme heats nor the excessive rains have despoiled it from its inhabitants. In addition, if the human race can certainly increase or decrease in number of individuals, it will never reach its complete disappearance from the face of the earth. Through this way and for this reason, all that has been created as beautiful, great, or memorable in any given aspect, whether in your country or in our country, or any other country, is written, since many centuries ago, and preserved in our temples. However, among us and the rest of the countries, the use of writing and of all that which is necessary for a civilized state does not come from a very recent epoch. Thus, suddenly, with determined intervals, what falls upon us as a cruel pestilence are torrents which precipitate themselves from heaven, which do not allow any subsistence, but only of men who are strange to the letters and to the muses. Consequently, ye are recommencing, so to say, your infancy again. Thus ye ignore every event of your country or our country which goes back into a foregone time. Therefore, Solon, all of those genealogical details which thou hast given unto us, in relation with thy country, look like mere infantile tales. Of course, ye speaketh unto us about a deluge, when indeed many deluges have been formerly verified. Moreover, ye ignore that in your country another more excellent and perfect race of men existed, who perished with the exception of a small number, from whom you and the rest of thy nation descended. Ye do not know it, because the first descendants of that race died without transmitting anything in writing throughout many generations. Therefore, Solon, in those times, before the last great destruction by the waters, this same Republic of Athens, which then already existed, was admirable in war. It was distinguished over all because of the prudence and wisdom of its laws, as well as for its generous actions, and it counted, to that end, among the most beautiful institutions which have ever been heard to exist under the heavens. Solon added that he became astonished when hearing such a narration, and that filled with infinite curiosity, he begged unto the Egyptian priests to amplify their narratives. I was reincarnated in the sacred land of the pharaohs during the dynasty of the pharaoh Khephren. I knew in depth the ancient mysteries from secret Egypt. Verily, I say unto you, that I have never forgotten them. Marvelous events come into my memory in these precise moments. On a given evening, it does not matter which one, slowly walking over the sands of the desert under the ardent rays of the tropical sun, I, like a somnambulist, silently passed through a mysterious street with millenarian sphinxes in view of the exotic sight of a nomad tribe who were observing me from their tents. Thus, at the venerated shadow of a very ancient pyramid, I, approaching it for a while, had to momentarily rest in order to patiently fix the laces of one of my sandals. Afterwards, diligently, I searched with anxiety for the august entrance. I was longing to return to the straight path. The guardian, as always, was at the mysterious threshold. It was impossible to forget that hieratical figure with a bronze countenance and protruding cheekbones. That man was a colossus. He was grasping the terrible sword in his right hand with heroism. His whole countenance was formidable, and there is no doubt that he was wearing, by his own right, the Masonic apron. The cross-examination was very severe. Question: Who art thou? Answer: I am a blind supplicant who comes in search of light. Question: What dost thou want? Answer: Light. It would be very long to transcribe here, within the lines of this chapter, the whole verbal exam in question. Afterwards, in a way that I qualify as violent, I was deprived of every metallic object, even my tunic and sandals. What is most interesting was the moment in which this Herculean man took me by the hand in order to introduce me inside of the sanctuary. Unforgettable were those moments in which the heavy door spun upon its hinges of steel and produced that mysterious note Dio from ancient Egypt. What happened thereafter, the macabre encounter with the terrible brother, the ordeals of fire, air, water, and earth, can be found by any illuminated one within the memories of nature. I had to control myself as best I could while in the ordeal of fire, since I had to pass through a hall in flames. The floor was filled with steel beams burning with red-hot living fire. The path between those rafters of ardent steel was very narrow, scarcely was there space to place the feet. In those times, many aspirants died in this venture. I still remember with horror that steel metal ring nailed to a rock. In the depths below, only the horrifying precipice was shown tenebrously. Nonetheless, I became victorious in the ordeal of air. There, where others perished, I triumphed. Many centuries have passed and still I cannot forget, in spite of the dust of too many years, those sacred crocodiles of the lake. If it was not for the magical conjurations, I would have been devoured by those reptiles, which always happened to other aspirants. Innumerable unhappy ones were crunched and broken asunder by the rocks in the ordeal of earth, but I triumphed. I saw with indifference two boulders which, while closing themselves over me, were menacing my existence, menacing to reduce me into cosmic dust. Indeed, I am nothing other than a miserable slug from the mud of the earth, yet I became victorious. Thus, this is how, after having suffered too much, I returned to the path of the revolution of the consciousness. I was welcomed into the initiatic college. I was solemnly dressed with the tunic of white linen of the priests of Isis, and the Egyptian Tau cross was placed on my chest. Homage to thee, O Ra! When thou risest in heaven's horizon as Tum, the Father, and when thou culminate in the heavens as Horus, the innermost. Thou art adored by me when thy beauties are before mine eyes, and when thy radiant, solar, beams falleth upon my body on earth. Thou goest forth to thy setting in thine heavenly boat, the king star, the sun, peace then is extended over the extensions of heaven. Lo and behold that the sails are swollen by the blows of the wind, and thine heart swelleth with joy, thus, with a swift soaring it traverses the heavens. Thou stridest over the heavens in peace, and thy foes are cast down. When travelling in their orbits, the planetary genii sing hymns of glory unto thee. The genii of the stars which never fail prostrate before thee and sing hymns of praise unto thee as thou sinkest to rest in the horizon behind the mountains of the west, because thou art the solar Logos. O thou who art beautiful at morn and at eve, O thou, Lord of life and of the order of the worlds. Homage to thee, O thou who art Ra, when thou risest on the horizon and when thou as Tum, the Father, settest in beauty at eve. For indeed, thy solar beams are beautiful when thou shinest in thine whole splendor on the highest back of the canopy of heaven. There is where Nut, thy divine mother Kundalini, who brought thee into the world, abideth. O thou who art crowned king of the gods. The goddess Nut from the heavenly ocean, thy mother, doeth homage unto thee. The everlasting and never-changing order, the equilibrium of the worlds embraceth thee at morn when thou risest until the eve when thou settest. Thou stridest abroad over the heavens in thy journey, thou art the Christ Son. Thine heart rejoiceth and the heavenly lake is appeased. The demon, the ego, the pluralized I, hath fallen to the ground. His arms and his hands have been hacked off, and the knife hath severed the joints, the vertebrae of his body. This is what happens when we dissolve the ego. Rareth a fair wind, his heavenly boat goeth forth and sailing along, bloweth by propitious winds it cometh into port. The divinities of the south and of the north, of the west and of the east praise thee, O thou, divine substance, from whom all forms of life come into being. Lo and behold, thou sendest forth the word, and the earth listens flooded with silence. O thou, unique divinity, solar Christ, who didst reign in heaven before ever the earth and the mountains came into existence. O runner! O thou, the Lord! Thou, the unique one! Thou, the creator of all that existeth! In thy rising at the dawn of ancient times, thou hast fashioned the tongue of the company of the divine hierarchies, he places the word in the larynx of the gods. Thou hast ploughed up the beings and whatsoever cometh forth from the first ocean, the chaos, and thou hast sheltereth them over the flooded land of the lake of Horus, the innermost. Let me snuff the air which cometh forth from thy nostrils and the north wind which cometh forth from thy mother Nut, the divine mother Kundalini. O Ra! Make thou to be sanctified my shining form, my spirit. O Osiris! Restore thou the divine nature of my soul. Glory unto thee, O Lord of gods! May thy name be glorified. O thou, creator of wondrous works, shine thou with thy rays of light upon my body which reposes on the earth for all eternity. This is a prayer taken from the Egyptian book of the Occult Abode. Chapter 13, Dark Light. Osiris is a dark god. These terrible, frightful words, this unusual, mysterious phrase, was secretly pronounced in the concealment of the temples, during the initiatic ceremonies in the sunny country of Kem. Gods and humans know very well that Osiris Numen, the Egyptian god, deep in thought, is absolutely incomprehensible to us all. That which is the mystery, that which we do not understand, is dark for the human intellect. Now, after this explanation, our readers can comprehend the deep meaning of that mysterious phrase. In the beginning or dawn of each universe, the eternal dark light, or absolute obscurity, is converted into the chaos. It is written and with words of fire within all the sacred books of the world that the chaos is the seed plot of the cosmos. The nothingness, the chaos, is certainly and without the least bit of doubt the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end of all the worlds that live and palpitate within the unalterable infinite. The Aitareya Brahmana, a precious and magisterial lesson of the Rig Veda, has truly demonstrated until satiation the tremendous identity between the luminous ideas of Brahmins and Pythagoreans, because Brahmins and Pythagoreans are supported by mathematics. In the previously cited Hindustani book, the dark fire, the abstract, obscure wisdom, the absolute light, unconditioned and without name, is frequently mentioned. The abstract Siti, the primeval Zoroaster of Parsis, is the life-saturated nothingness. It is that. God himself, in other words, the army of the voice, the great word, dies when the great pralaya, the cosmic night, arrives, and is reborn terribly divine in the dawn of the Mahamanvantara. The absolutely radical zero in transcendental arithmetics, the abstract space in geometry, the unknowable Siti, do not confuse it with deity, which is different, is not born, does not die, nor does it reincarnate. From this unknowable entirety, or radical zero, emanates in the beginning any sidereal universe, Pythagorean monad, Gnostic father-mother, Hindu Purusha Prakriti, Egyptian Osiris-Isis, dual protocosmos or Kabbalistic Adam-Kadmon, the theos chaos of the theogony of Hesiod, the Chaldean Uranus or fire and water, Semitic Iod-Hev, Parsi Zeruama, unique one, Buddhist Ornadadad, Ruach Elohim or divine spirit of the Lord floating upon Genesis waters of the first instant. In the profound night, only darkness itself filled the boundless all, for Father, Mother, and Son were once more one, and the Son had not awakened yet for the new wheel and his pilgrimage thereon. After these words, Oramus. Let us meditate. Let us worship. Let us now delve into the deepest part of our being. Thus, while in the absence of the I, let us search with infinite humbleness. There, very deep inside, beyond the body, affections, and the mind, let us find the child Horus, the divine spirit, our real being in the arms of his divine mother Kundalini, Isis, whose veil no mortal has lifted. Indeed, Isis is the feminine aspect of Osiris, the father who is in secret. Osiris in himself is the masculine phase of Isis. Both are the Iod-Hev, the Jehovah or Jehovah of the Hebrews. The Jews from these times of Kali Yuga have intentionally confused Jehovah with Javi, who, in accordance with Saturnine of Ansh, is the genie of evil, the devil. Let the gods listen to me and let the humans understand me. Just as the furious waves emerge with tremendous impetus from within the profound sea in order to rumble upon the sandy beach, so does the igneous serpent of our magical powers, our particular cosmic mother, surge from within the infinite bosom of Sarasvati, the eternal mother space, in order to rise and manifest herself within us. The Lord is even deeper within. Thus, as HPB stated, there are as many fathers in heaven as humans on the earth. However, all of them are just emanations of Brahma, the ocean of the great life. Osiris, Isis, and Horus, the three of you, give a sign and come unto us. Father, Mother, and Son, divine Trimurti, are three ineffable and terribly divine aspects of our authentic being. At the dawn of each Mahamanvantara, the Son, the child Horus, the divine spirit of each one of us, must send the best part of himself, which is his essence, unto this valley of tears with the purpose of self-realizing. The battle is terrible. Horus, the innermost, the particular spirit of each one of us, must defeat the red devils, the pluralized I, if, indeed, what he wants is to obtain a diamond soul. Imagine at least for a moment the androgynous divine, the Razit or Brasit, the Gnostic father-mother, already endowed with its diamond soul. This is how they are, those who have already achieved the final liberation. Nonetheless, not all the androgynous divine have a diamond soul. Verily, verily, I say unto you, that many flames are without self-realization. Indeed, Horus is the vehicle of Iod-Hev, the indispensable instrument for self-realization. Osiris and Isis fail when Horus is defeated in the battles fought during his pilgrimage throughout the Wheel of Samsara, Valley of Tears. Yet, when Horus becomes victorious in the battles against the red devils, then the immortal triad, endowed with a diamond soul, is forever submerged within the ineffable joy of the abstract absolute space. Chapter 14, Radio Astronomy. Radio astronomy is an Atlantean science that is lost in the profound night of all centuries. This science re-emerged in our day and age, in an apparently very casual way, thanks to the incessant efforts performed by Carl G. Jasenke of the Bell Telephone Laboratories in New Jersey. His assignment was to track down and scientifically identify the various forms of high-frequency static interference that, in a very disturbing way, were plaguing the vital transoceanic telephone communications of his corporation. On August 1931, Jansky started his observations by utilizing a longitudinal wave of 14.6 meters, 20,600 kilocycles. Thus, very soon, he achieved in detecting the sources of two types of cosmic static. The first source of cosmic static was evidently attributed to thunderbolts, which are produced in a terrific way during any storm. The second source of cosmic static was qualified by the cited sage as very distant storms whose radio emissions were probably deviated towards the Earth by the ionized regions from the polar caps of the atmosphere. However, something unusual appeared, something peculiar happened. He achieved in detecting what he was not searching for. It was a high-pitched whistle sound, whose strange intensity was slowly varying during the day. Jansky very sincerely informed the proceedings of the Institute of Radio Engineers that the direction of this strange and mysterious whistle sound was going around every 24 hours, in all cardinal points of the compass. He stated, in the past months of December and January, the sound's direction generally coincided with that of the sun. Yet, its source could not be detected with precision. Then, its direction deviated, and in March, it was preceded approximately 1 hour in time towards the direction of the sun. It is evident that Jansky supposed many things, he made up many conjectures in relation with such a strange sound. It is no wonder, since this subject matter was extremely rare. However, he finally arrived at his own conclusions. He stated, the radio emissions seem to come from a unique source or from a great number of sources which are disseminated throughout the firmament, beyond the solar system. It has been established with complete exactitude that the special cosmic center from where such radio emissions come from is found in the direction of the center of the galaxy, and lies in the direction of the constellation Sagittarius. This does not signify in any way that other waves from other corners of the Milky Way do not reach the Earth. It is obvious that our galaxy is a living fountain of radio sounds with various zones of great intensity of emission. The Logos sounds in our Milky Way is not mute. It sustains itself by means of the word, by means of the sound, by means of the spermatic and luminous fiat of the first instant. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The sound, the word, the Creator Word propagates itself everywhere, it reaches all places. It is obvious that the exceedingly frightful Second World War impeded every new progress in radio astronomy. In February 1942, British radar operators denounced a new form of obstruction adopted by the Germans. Yet, when the knowledge of this new interference was given to J.S. Hay from the Army Operational Research Group, it was verified that such a perturbing sound had its origin in a solar spot. We can affirm, without fear of being mistaken, that radio waves are an amplification of luminous waves of great longitude. The marvelous discovery that some parts of the sky shine in the radio spectral band signifies, as a fact, that something completely new has surged in the firmament. Indeed, it has been proven in an integral way that the clouds of individual atoms of hydrogen, contrary to that which happens with the pairs of atoms from the gas of hydrogen, emit radio waves of a longitude of 21 centimeters. Van der Hulst, the eminent man of science, very wisely suggested that the clouds of hydrogen dispersed throughout the universe must be dispersing radio waves of 21 centimeters in all directions. Indeed, the atom of hydrogen consists of one electron and one proton, both describing authentic, real, and magnificent orbits, therefore, harmoniously acting like two fine magnetic wires. Just as the poles in contiguous magnets are mutually repelled, likewise, the most perfect alienation of these two particles occurs when their magnetic poles are found in opposite directions. This is why the atom acquires a determined force which allows it to liberate the electron, in such a way that its positive pole remains alienated with the positive pole of the proton. Once this liberation occurs, the atom preserves a slight reserve of energy. Then, the best finally comes, the electron is liberated and very intelligently emits the energy in a form of a radio wave. This, in itself, always oscillates with a frequency of 1,420,405,752 times per second, 1420 megacycles. This indeed corresponds to a wave of a longitude of 21 centimeters. It is evident that the discovery of emissions of 21 centimeters gave a formidable impulse to radio astronomy. Hence, it is obvious, palpable, and clear that eruptions in the Sun determine the temperature on the surface of the Moon and in the most close planets. This also reveals the existence of atomic particles trapped and furiously spinning in distant magnetic fields, as is occurring in the turbulent gaseous clouds from the nebula of Cancer, etc., which have been scientifically registered. The first great antenna of the National Radio Astronomy Observatory from Western Virginia was planned for waves of longitude of 21 centimeters. Two physicists proposed themselves to search for intelligent signs from other planets. In these critical moments of our existence, it is evident that other planetary humanities are sending us waveforms related with prime numbers. They await our answer with eagerness. The presence of interstellar signs is entirely real, yet, if we do not capture them, it is because the means to perform such a task is not yet within our reach. Many intellectuals will deny the profound, practical, and philosophical importance that the registration of interstellar communications would have. We, the Gnostics, know that a search of particular signs deserves, indeed, a series of considerable super-efforts. The possibilities of success are difficult to estimate, yet, if we do not investigate, if we do not actualize the intent, those possibilities will be reduced to zero. Indeed, 100 stars with a very proper size exist within a distance of 50 light-years. It is obvious that among the 7 stars which are about 15 light-years in distance, 3 of them, namely, Alpha Centauri, Serpentary 70 and Cygni 61, are completely visible from the Earth through the marvelous background of the Milky Way. This invites us to think that the emissions of 21 centimeters, which have originated far beyond them, would be 40 times more intense than those of other regions of the infinite starry space. Therefore, the emitted signs that have originated close to such stars, on the wave of a longitude already indicated, can only be captured if they are extremely intense. In order to send messages to planets in the distance of some 10 light-years, we would need an antenna like the one that is projected by the Navy for Sugar Grove in West Virginia, providing that the receptor antenna is of the same dimensions as the transmitter antenna, and that it utilizes transmitters no more potent than those which are presently utilized on the Earth. We must comprehend that since long ago, other planetary humanities established channels of communication that someday we must come to know. They continue to wait patiently for the answer from our terrestrial world. This will announce to them that a new society has emerged in order to form part of their intelligent fraternity. Chapter 15: The Demon Apopy. After having died, psychologically, within myself, I was confirmed in the light, and then I entered the temple and signed my documents. To ascend into the first heaven of a lunar type was the next step. The adepts taught me how to protect myself against the fatal attraction which the sublunar infernos exercise upon oneself. A branch was given to me in order to smell, which influenced me in a very special way. Such a delicate fragrance had, indeed, a taste of sanctity. "With this perfume you can defend thyself against the lunar attraction," exclaimed the adept who was instructing me. Indeed, I know that adept. He is no other than the superior instructor of the Temple of the Twice-Born. His character is similar to the taste of a lemon, however, he irradiates infinite wisdom and love, without limits or boundaries. Whosoever wants to ascend must first of all descend, this is the law. Every exaltation is preceded by a humiliation. It is obvious that to annihilate the lunar bodies was necessary for me, since these bodies were constituted for me like a fatal appendix. Therefore, I started with the body of desires, the famous Karma Rupa cited by H.P. or Blavatsky. Many pseudo-esotericists and pseudo-occultists have confounded such a body with the astral body. It is evident that every intellectual animal possesses the Karma Rupa, which, indeed, is the same demon Apopy from the Egyptian mysteries. Hence, I exclaimed with the Book of the Occult Abode, "O demon Apopy! You must die in the profundity of the lake from heaven, within the lunar atomic infernos, there where my Father who is in secret has commanded death for thee. Get thee hence, then, O malignant demon of desire, before the arrows of my light which inflict severe pain upon thee. Behold, the gods who assist me rend apart thy chest without any kind of mercy. The frightfully divine lion-head goddess immobilizes thy limbs, she removes from thee the bestial force that thou possess. The scorpion-head goddess, the third aspect of my divine mother, while walking inside of thyself, transformed into a mysterious scorpion, makes to rain upon thee her cup of destruction. Hence, Apopy, enemy of Ra, the Logos, disappear definitively. Thou also wanted to enter inside the mysteries of the White Lodge, to victoriously pass through the regions of the internal East while conserving the venom of thy desires. Yet, thou mistook the door, because thy fate is the abyss and death. Apopy, thou hast been overthrown. thou certainly hast felt very well the pain that the scorpion-head goddess has inflicted upon thee. The enjoyments of sexual passion no longer will be felt by thee. Ra, my internal God, makes thee, fulminated by the lightning of cosmic justice, to withdraw. He wounds thee. He injures thee to the death. He makes 1,000 cuts on your passionate face. He breaks thy bones asunder. He reduces thee into dust. Delectable enchantments, terribly malignant and fascinating beauties, exist within the sublunar, atomic infernos. Remember, beloved reader, that crime is hidden within the miraculous cadences of poetry. Delectable infernal verses surge from within the exquisite regions of concupiscence, which inebriate and derange. As a mode of illustration, we transcribe the following. Desires. I would like to surmount that distance, that fatal abyss which splits us asunder. And to be inebriated with thy love, with that fragrance, mystical and pure, that thy being did render. I would like to be one of the laces with which thou adornest thy radiant temples. I would like, in the heaven which thy body embraces, to drink the glory which in thy lips thou couples. I would like to be water, so that in my waves thou canst come to bathe, so that I may, as when I dream alone, with raves, kiss thee everywhere in a single swathe. I would like to be linen, so that in thy bed I may rest, thus, in the shadow, I may shelter thee with ardor, and tremble with the heaving of thy breast, and to die while embracing thee with this pleasurable amour. Oh, I want much more. I want to hold thee in me, as the cloud holds the thunder, but not as the clouds that in its billowing rant, burst and divide asunder. I would like to blend me in thee, to blend me in thee to the core. I would like, in perfume, to convert thee into perfume and to breathe thee more. To breathe thee, in one whiff, as an essence, and to join into my pulses thy pulses, and to join into my existence thine existence, and to join into my senses, thy senses. To snuff thee as one puff from the vault of heaven, thus, to look at thee calmly upon my life, and prowl the whole flame of thine ardent body's haven, which is the whole ether from the blue of thy soul. The fire of pain is as the flame of the glass within which the myrrh is consumed. Sometimes it purifies, elevates, and embalms, changing the rough aloe that inflames into delicate and heavenly perfume. I cannot, in any way, deny my intense, abysmal sufferings. It is obvious to comprehend that in the world of the dead, we, the ones who have died in ourselves, must annihilate the lunar bodies. Apopi, the theosophical karma rupa, is the memory of ancient sexual passions, secret impudence, sometimes mystical and ineffable, romance that deranges, poetry that inebriates with its tales of love. I relayed myself to the arms of my mother, so that she could do with me whatever she wanted. Thus, O God of mine, she saved me. Apopi has died. What a joy! Now that beast can no longer afflict my painful heart. The throng of passions has passed. The voice of the ineffable gods resound on the abutting jungle. The sexual passion of Apopi has died. Thus, not too far from the nest within which the birds of mystery are cooing with their tender melodies, I feel more happy than the luminous swan who saw from Leda that immortal whiteness. I am the one who just yesterday uttered the blue verse and the profane song. As the gongorism of Galatea, indeed, the Marquis Valeniana enchanted me as well. Hence, I was joining to the sublime passion essential human hyperesthesia. Among the living sound of sounding music that animates the choir of inebriated bacchantes, who drink wine, water roses, and weave dances, I wallowed like the pig within the mud. Apopi has died. The hour of the supreme triumph, granted to my tears and offerings by the power of my divine mother, has arrived. Chapter 16, The Seven Sublime Beings. Indeed, the light, the cosmic bread, is what nourishes us most substantially. I felt it within the millenarian rocks of the mountain and within the very pure waters of the river. I beheld it, like a delectable virgin weaving a crown of roses for her own enchanted temples within the imposing silence of noontime. Ineffably, I felt it penetrating within my soul, followed by a golden procession of dancing atoms. Down below, next to the timid, singing rivulet, the sacred little herb from the forest was making the iridescent wheels of its delicate stalks to vibrate, and submerged in mystery, a scarab patiently learned to lift the world in each leaf. Thus, inside, within my anchorite and penitential grotto, in a transcendental mystical experience, I astounded the stones by absorbing the light and imbibing myself in it with infinite thirst. Indeed, while in those instants, the mundane clamor, with all of its vain passing joys and infinite bitterness, had ceased to exist for me. It had vanished like a dream. The withered leaves, violently detached from the solitary trees, floating in the air, impelled by the autumn breeze, were lost in the jungle. The mountain, in the misfortune of its solitude, was exhibiting the mutilated arms of its rocks. Delectable moments within the silent blue of the profound woodland enchanted Newman of the shady grove. The sinner Adam reverently prostrated himself before that which has no name and understood the necessity of dying from moment to moment. We are not important. Our life has the brief fate of the rose, which lustfully opens in the morning, yet in the night is helplessly reposing. I do not want that sensual delight that corrupts and weakens the wretched intellectual animal. This world and I do not comprehend each other. My mouth is woeful of singing ineffable things, for the people do not understand me. The human earthquake has destroyed my heart and all in it expires. The wisdom of death is terribly divine. Now, there is no bond, everything is broken. The heaven delighted itself like this. Blessed be the bitter chalice that with pleasure I consume. Finally my soul reposes, she lusts for nothing. Farewell, stubborn world, I will depart very far beyond. In brief moments the boat of Ra, as a winged horse which swiftly soars, will set sail and cut through the eternal waves, carrying me away from here. Daily meditation is the bread of the wise, it is impossible to reach the Buddha's interior illumination without it. My concentration was very profound. Thus, while meditating in a more and more intense manner, I finally fell into ecstasy. The intentions of Mara to remove me from the path were useless, its efforts were in vain. At the door of mystery, the light of noontime was laughing, and there, in the remote distance, the nubile palm, inebriated with the sun, was romantically oscillating. On the rosebush from the perfumed orchard of the 1001 Nights, the roses were blushing when the crystalline fountain, smiling, was soaping the rocks with foam. Delectable instants that are indescribable, undefinable, and inexpressible. Samadhi of the ascetic, exquisite fruit of meditation. Thus, I forgot the body, the affections, and the mind. Indeed, there is no better pleasure than the feeling of oneself as a detached soul. Then, exquisite experiences, very intimate events, surged within my spirit. I very vividly remembered the preceding Mahamanvantara, the twilight of the gods, and the profound night. Hence, the moon that in aforetime was a world filled with light and life, decidedly fell on the arms of death. Then, the seven sublime lords and the seven truths ceased to exist and came into being. That lunar universe was devoured by that which is and nonetheless is not, in order to be exhaled again later. Thus, life slept for 7 eternities within the profound bosom of the abstract absolute space. Nonetheless, something remained, not all was lost. Death devours the forms, yet the fragrance of memories continues. The preceding universe remained, being stored as a simple remembrance within the intelligence of the holy gods. It is written with fiery words that these holy remembrances, when projected upon the eternal screen of the uncreated light, constitute the universe of Pleroma. Garden of delights in the night of the cosmos, infinite in raptures, sublime absorption, inexhaustible joy. Each virginal spark returned to its own flame. It is obvious that my own was certainly not an exception. Then, with humility, I studied in the temple those teachings which very ancient Paramartha Satyas, inhabitants of the Absolute, delivered unto us in preceding cosmic nights. Hence, those beings, who now are invisible to all of us, pass beyond our capacities of comprehension. How long did this ecstasy endure? I do not know, I do not want to know, either. Now, everything has passed. Now, hour after hour, I patiently defoliate the mystery of the days. Similar to the nocturnal pilgrim, my immortal hope is burning as a blazing fire within the ineffable orchestration of the spheres. O, night of redemption, hold thy wings, embroidered with the light of my remembrances. Chapter 17, A Magnificent Convention. When addressing the truth, it is important to emphatically affirm one's own feeling. Without desiring to compete in any way with other writers, and excluding very sincerely any vain ostentation, yet, having the risk of tormenting many envious people, it is my duty to confess that I was the first one to announce about the cosmic ships. During the year 1950, after much dissatisfaction, disappointment, and threatening letters, the first edition of my book entitled The Perfect Matrimony came out onto the streets. It is already known that the crowd disputed it and held it as immoral. Well then, it is known that such a cited book, happily written at that time, clarified the mystery of the UFOs. So then, I did not evade this very thorny theme. Without preoccupying myself with the reasoning of others, indeed, I very frankly exposed my concept about the cosmic ships. It is evident that Julio Medina V., the illustrious gentleman with noble intelligence and a generous heart, even after having financed such an edition with his own peculium, also drew these unknown flying objects. It is obvious to comprehend that such notable artistic drawings have true foundations and genuine models. This eminent master had the joy of verifying by himself the authentic existence of these furtive extraterrestrial ships. When after a walk along a sandy beach at the shores of the Caribbean Sea he silently and quietly returned with his spouse to his home, something unusual happened to him. Indeed, he was surprised by some cosmic ships which, floating in the blue space, were finally lost within the unalterable infinite. On March 13, 1954, the newspaper The Los Angeles Times made a stubborn excess of mockery and sarcasm when reporting about a strange convention. It was nothing other than a reunion of people who solemnly affirmed to have traveled in cosmic ships from extraterrestrial origin. This rare event happened in a place in the state of California, in the USA, named the Giant Rock, in the desert, close to the Imperial Valley. During the convention, a cosmic ship was watched by the whole assembly. Hundreds of people gave testimony to this fact. This mysterious ship floated over the automobiles as if observing the multitude. Then afterwards, it was lost within the space. This convention on UFOs was organized under the auspices of the very excellent Sir George Van Tassel. At the opening of the program, Van Tassel frankly accused some jealous terrestrial people of sabotaging the meeting. He said that many barricades were placed on the sandy path that leads toward the gigantic rock. One of the most interesting things was when a very intelligent young man from Detroit, named Richard T. Miller, enthusiastically took the floor. He explained with complete clarity his extraordinary flight of 12 hours inside a cosmic ship of 150 feet of diameter, which had been very wisely made up in order to send messages in English by means of powerful infrared rays. He stated that such a contact was arranged when it was suggested from this interplanetary ship that he present himself on an abandoned golf course, which was situated 40 miles from Detroit. Once at such a place, the mysterious extraterrestrial device suddenly appeared, and as soon he went on board, it ascended with great velocity. Afterwards, the young man described his sensational experiences that endured for 12 hours. He was within the ship by the control deck, where the ship was being maneuvered by means of gigantic panels. Filled with infinite emotion, he stated that he was allowed to watch on the screen of a super television set. It was possible for him to visually penetrate inside an automobile where some of his friends on the Earth were trying to communicate with the ship by means of radio signals. Afterwards, he explained very serenely that he was returned to the golf course by the extraterrestrial captain of that marvelous ship. Miller and his partner George H. Williams are now working very intensely on what they call the Telenid Research Center in Prescott, Arizona. Among other things, it is admirable that he has succeeded in recording on a vinyl disc the voice of a creature who communicated with them from exterior space. One of the visitors who received major attention from this convention was Dr. Charles Laft from Chicago. During the month of December in 1953, he received great publicity in all of the USA when, without any fear, he frankly declared that he received a communication from space, within which many catastrophes for the Earth were predicted, together with the reappearance of the two lost continents Lemuria and Atlantis. People continued arriving in their automobiles and aeroplanes. Meanwhile, a variegated and picturesque multitude of curious people were gathering around the platform where the speakers were reunited. Van Tassel started by saying, "We are here in order to reveal these matters and not to hide them. The spaceships are driven by intelligences superior to ours. The human beings from space are here in order to help us in this critical moment. We, the speakers, who are united here for the first time, have a duty to do, and we are going to do it." Truman Bethurum, who wrote a book with the title The Voice of the Planet Clarion, stated that he had 11 conversations with people from cosmic space, and he added, "One morning, there were too many spaceships over Washington, and the Air Force believed that we were in danger of receiving an attack from another planet." An interesting moment occurred when the group who stated that they have traveled in spaceships were reunited in order to be filmed for a newscast. Next to Miller and Bethurum, there were George Adamski, Dana Howard, and Orfeo Angelucci. Afterwards, the description of trips throughout the infinite space continued with intensive fervor. A man who was going around that place with a Geiger counter stated that the air of giant rock was impregnated with cosmic rays, not knowing whether they were gusts of atomic clouds from Nevada or if they were produced by the spaceships. Anyhow, the whole world was in expectation in case one cosmic ship would land. To conclude with this chapter, we state, it is indeed very interesting that this magnificent convention took place, as if in order to corroborate our affirmations, for years after we announced for the first time about the cosmic ships. Chapter 18, My Return into Tibet. Oh, that time, when a very singular Tibetan adept lady inside the Sacred Order of Tibet said loudly to me, "Die! Die! Die!" The Egyptian Book of the Occult Abode states, "The day when Horus, the innermost, obtains victory over Seth, the animal ego, and his demons, I am then defunct. I shall triumph over my enemies, during the night of the festival in which the god Jed is elevated to Jedu, in the presence of the divinities who reside on the paths of death. To die within myself, to dissolve the I, to reduce it to cosmic dust, indeed, was not an easy task. However, I have to very sincerely confess that I remained faithful to the secrets of Tum, my Father who is in heaven. I can never deny that with my Divine Mother Kundalini I entered into the den of Seth, the 49 regions of the subconsciousness. Whosoever wants to ascend must first of all descend, this is the law. Every exaltation is preceded by a humiliation. Each psychological defect, internally seen with the eye of Horus, has indeed a satanic, animalistic form. Comprehension and elimination are radical. It would be impossible to eliminate the red demons, our defects, without these factors. To comprehend is the first step, to eliminate is the second one. Many neophytes comprehend, however, they do not eliminate. Verily I say unto you that those ones fail. The mind is not all. The mind can justify or condemn, hide or excuse, however, it can never eliminate. This is how I understood it. Therefore, I prayed to my Divine Mother and the outcome was marvelous. Oh, Divine Mother Kundalini! Igneous serpent of our magical powers! Isis, whose veil no mortal has lifted! Sophia! The gods from the Garden of Hesperides know very well that you can, in fact, eliminate defects. Thus, between my mother and I, we undertook the hard work. I comprehended and she eliminated. An in-depth comprehended defect was immediately eliminated by my mother. She never abandoned me, she never left me alone. I learned to combine meditation with prayer. I meditated in order to comprehend. I prayed in order to beseech her. Sorrowful, remorseful within my heart, truly repented, I implored, I supplicated to my mother. I very sincerely beseeched her to eliminate the psychological defect, which by means of in-depth meditation had already been comprehended in an integral way. Then, this esoteric work allowed me to evidence until satiation the plurality of the I. Careful clairvoyant observations allowed me to effectively make evident the existing intimate relation between defect and entity. Thus, I obviously could verify that each error in itself is multifaceted. It is noticeable and evident for our patient readers to grasp, to conceive the idea of small, shouting and quarrelsome eyes, which are types of malignant entities that personify defects. Their disorderly and absurd coexistence inside of our psyche is not an obstacle for these diverse entities. Unfortunately, these subjective and infernal psychic aggregates continue beyond the sepulchre. The palpable, authentic, and unquestionable return of these abominable and subjective values into new wombs is a mathematical axiom. Ahamkrita bhava, these two Sanskrit words signify the egoic condition of our consciousness. It is obvious that the consciousness, bottled up within all of those entities that constitute the ego, develops and lives in accordance with its own condition. At Mavajya, with this Hindustanic term we refer to divine illumination. It is noticeable that the consciousness inserted within the innumerable I-S, which constitute the ego, does not enjoy authentic illumination. It is found in a state of somnolence. Thus it sleeps, a victim of the vain illusions of Maya. Atma Shakti, we refer, with this term of ancient wisdom, to the absolute spiritual power. As a consequence or corollary, we can and must even emphasize the idea that while the consciousness has not been liberated from its egoic condition, it cannot enjoy legitimate spiritual power. When Mephistopheles, the ego, is reduced to ashes, then the consciousness is liberated and awakens. Now, conspicuous readers, you can comprehend why it was demanded of me to die. Only by eliminating the ego could I return into the sacred order of Tibet. To return into this very old Tibetan monastery was always my greatest longing. Thus, this is how I, after having suffered a lot, returned into that holy place. Immaculate summit of delights, secret Tibet, everything in thee has an ambience of mystery. Indeed, the eternal Himalayas have an innocent profundity, like a mirror. Perpetual clouds, sober Buddhist convents, monks who pray and meditate while chanting very silently, Om Mani Padme Hum. These mystics know about the torment of the now defeated races, which lived and died in the shadow of their colossal mass. They know about the flights of the eagles and about the rays that sign on them with the signature of fire. On the sides of their mountains roll the thunder of their tempestuous and powerful south winds. And cosmic signs that have a taste of eternity are immersed within their sepulchral temples. In accordance with ancient millenarian conducts and customs, I needed somebody who could respond for me, a charitable soul, a godfather who would introduce me into the order. Thus, thanks to God, it is obvious that I had one. He, my godfather, paid my right to enter, or better if we say, my right to re-enter, into this venerated order with esoteric money that the human multitudes ignore. There are no festivities for those who return. This is how it is written, and this is known by those divine and human. Simple and without any ostentation, I returned and occupied my place inside the order and continued with the duty that in aforetime I had abandoned when I withdrew from the upright path. I restarted my labor by performing charity. It was necessary for me to help a poor soul inside the monastery who had knocked on our doors in search of light. Ask and it shall be given unto you, knock and it shall be opened unto you. This is love. The fire of charity performs miracles. Unfortunately, such a supplicant was extremely asleep. Indeed, I performed enormous efforts in order to awaken this soul, but everything was useless. It is obvious that this suffering creature had not even started to fight against the red demons of Seth, the ego. Her consciousness was completely bottled up within her eye. Oh! Old monastery, protected by very ancient walls, how much I love thee! How can I forget the ineffable patio and that sacred table around which sit the Nimanakayas of compassion? How can I forget those working halls and all those multiple and varied ineffable corridors through which all the adepts of the light circulate, come and go? But, O God of mine! Remember, beloved reader, that roses without thorns do not exist. You know this. How much pain I felt when walking through all of the towns and villages of Tibet. Everywhere, here, there and further, I could see the Chinese communist troops that perfidiously had invaded the sacred land of the adepts. How frightful the profaners are! Behold there, the red soldiers at the doors of the very sacred pagodas, cynically making a mockery of what they do not understand. Unto the divine Padmambhava, incarnation of the lotus and protector for all the conscious beings, I supplicate freedom for Tibet. Unto all the sublime fathers and mothers of all Buddhas from the 5 orders, I beseech to remove forever the barbarian hordes who have assassinated the saints. Begavan Aklava, protector master of our sacred order, help us. Remove from Tibet the brutalizing hordes of Marxism. Ah! The Tathagata, Buddha, knows very well how much I had to suffer when contemplating the terrible solitude of the valley of Amitabha. What happened with those religious festivities, which in aforetime were cheering the sublime valley? Now, only the sanguinary troops of Marxism are seen everywhere. How long will this bitterness continue? Fortunately, the monastery of the Sacred Order of Tibet is very well protected inside the 4th dimension. Chapter 19, The Karma of the Holy Gods. O, Divine Mother Kundalini! Igneous serpent of our magical powers! I suffer too much and thou knowest it. Even if I want to conceal my pain within the shadows of the forest, it publicly flourishes under the light of the sun. I love thee, adorable mother, as the one who in our fertile, perfumed land loves the wandering bird that in the jungle has its haven. This sacred love that the immortal soul encloses sings with the lyre of Orpheus and weeps within my soul. I love thee, queen of mine, profound mother, Cybele, Rhea, Tenantzin. I adore thee with that sublime fever incited by kisses given without taint, which conceals thy footprints that come down in torrents of living roses, drawn with stars. Mother of mine, immaculate virgin, I feel I am all thine. What is that, which within my being does not belong to thee, from my weak heart of man until my holy and utmost idea? I live to adore thee, sublime lady. My existence, already despoiled from illusions, my incessant ecstasies search within the sanctuary of thine innocence for the glory and warmth of thy delights. Slave of thy magical beauty, always superhuman, I render my heart unto thy tenderness. Speak unto me as thou speakest unto me. Let thine unmistakable accent gladly penetrate within my anchorite ears. Look at me as thou lookest at me, with that infinite sweetness of thy beautiful eyes, beyond the vain illusions of the world. Profound and good mother, with pomegranate lips and ivory teeth, have mercy on me. Dearest holy mother, beautiful, beloved head with long golden curls of hair that roll over thine heavenly shoulders, have pity on me. I adore thee, my light, thou knowest it well. My thoughts soar throughout the heaven, encircling thy rostrum like the birds which adorn the rich architrave of a temple of hope and alleviation. I never found in the ages a place so delightful as the garden of my mother. Abiding there, I forget my worries, I hear songs of birds sweet and modulated. As soon as I lay down on that soil, I feel myself emancipated from all suffering. I forget every sorrow, every past grief. Whosoever would abide there would be blissful. The prairie of which I speak to you about has another goodness. Neither by heat nor by cold does it lose its loveliness. It is always green in its whole entirety, without any storm withering its greenness. The men and birds that yonder advance are carrying from the flowers all the ones which they preferred. Yet, desolation on the prairie they never make, since, for every flower they obtain, 3 or 4 are springing forth. Ah! If these wretched people would return into the orchard of Eden. If repented, they would return into the spiritual garden of their divine mother, then they would comprehend how vain is their desire for existing in this valley of tears. In accordance with the esoteric teachings, the real cause of the desire for conscious life remains forever hidden, and its first emanations are the most profound abstractions. Joy of the silence, resonance of the swift murmur, moon of midday, vegetal topaz, somber jewel, form of that recondite hope show me the cause, the secret root of existence. When, of disillusions, thy soul shall become an empire, when thy tears shall be exhausted by thy suffering, when merciless unto thee the world shall apply its cautery, thus lashing thee with its pain, then thou shalt evade the tempting door, the white door, Tuli, the hindmost. Then thou shalt slowly discourse throughout the garden of thy soul. There thy divine mother in much secrecy shall teach thee the karma of the gods, root of worlds, origin of any existence. Let us wait, let us suffer, do not ever hurl against the invisible our refutation as a threat. Sad, wretched creature, thou shalt see, thou shalt see. Thy mother is approaching. From her blessed lips thou shalt hear the cosmic secret. When the heart of this solar system began to palpitate after the profound night of the great pralaya, thereupon the gods from the dawn began to weep. Remember, son of mine, that the gods also err. Those divine Elohim wrote their erratum on the cosmic page of the past day. Wouldst thou comprehend now the motive, the real cause of the universe, the vital secret of the conscious life, the desire for life? When the dawn was dawning, I saw the causal logos moving upon the face of the waters. Do not begin the dawn of the Mahamanvantara yet, cried the holy gods amidst their sobs. Useless was their begging, vain their lament. Occasionally, the great being stopped for a while in order to read the karma from those resplendent children of the dawn. These poor children prayed, they cried a lot, as did their mother with fervor. Hence, everything remained in silence. Then, amidst the quenched sobs of the waves, only the rumor of existence was heard. O, mother of mine, may thy grandeur dispose of me at its pleasure. Now, for too many intricate reasons, I am going to transcribe a beautiful poem of Don Ramon del Valle Inclán. Karma. I want to build a house to attain sense of my life. I want my soul to be roused, to erect it on stone, beyond strife. I want to shape my hermitage in the midst of a Latin garden, from a grimoire Byzantine age, an Horatian Latin garden. I want my honest baronage to transmit unto my son, so that, through this wand of lineage, to renew respect unto my grandson. As a pyramid, my home's harbour shall be a temple's funerary, my clamors is moved by the clamour of a tertiary. I want to make my house on a hamlet estate, and its sunny place must be easterly, so in its sunny space I can meditate devotedly. I want to make my house stoic, walled with stone from Brabants, like the house of Seneca, heroic with temperance. Thus, let its carving be rocky. The carve of my house, karma from my clan, and let one day to adorn the ivy upon the dolmen of the Valle Inclán. During the profound cosmic night, the vital causes of existence were destroyed. Then, the karma of those divine and human remained in suspension. The invisible which is and the visible which was remained within the eternal not being, the unique being. Upon the silvery waves of the warm and transparent atmosphere of any universe that agonizes, as a wrecked and sorrowful Ophelia, the tender serenade of life goes floating by. Afterwards, the worlds are dissolved. The night of the great pralaya arrives. The soul is thrilled with joy. It is the spark that returns into the flame of the being, which indeed to our vain reasoning is non being.